Hi, I'm JD and welcome to this week's episode, 10-Year Transformation. This week's episode, we're back in New Jersey after a trip down to Florida to visit my son and also do some fishing. If you caught last week's video, short video, was called Bottom Fishing, and it's something that I think you'd find pretty interesting. It's a quick video, maybe 6 minutes, and I encourage you to take a look at it if you get a chance. Also, before we get started with this week's episode, we're going to get back to the nuts and bolts of the 10-year transformation plan. Before we get to that, I want to just do a check-in to make sure that you've watched the earlier videos and getting your financial house in order. I think, and as I mentioned quite a few times, that getting your financial house in order is at the core of really being able to move forward with your 10-year transformation. It's at the center of everything that you may want to do. It was at the center of what I needed to get done. So I encourage you to take a look at those videos before moving forward. And if you haven't actually started to, filter out and figure out what you're spending your money on, work on a budget, figure out your needs versus your wants, figure out a realistic spending plan based upon your current income. I encourage you to work on that before moving forward, because the next topic we're getting into, the relationship aspect, is quite detailed, and it's gonna require a lot of your attention, really a lot of deep thought to get the most out of it. So like I said, I encourage you to go back and re-watch or watch for the first time the financial portion of the 10-year transformation plan before moving forward. So we're going to jump right into the relationship aspect. So relationships are the second piece of the puzzle, as I like to refer to it. Relationships are a very complicated subject, and it's complicated for a reason. It's been said a lot of times, and you'll see it in different people have spoken about, that you're a composite of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's really determines a lot of your personality, and your earning potential is really predicated on those 5 people that you spend your most time with. You kind of gravitate toward the mean. So I want you to sit back and really take a look at who you're spending your time with, and evaluate those people maybe from afar and say, are these people really the people that are bringing out the best in me? And I'll tell you a little story about myself. My closest friends, in particular, I have 5 friends that we pledged for the same fraternity when we were in college, and 30 years later, we're still very, very close. We speak on a weekly basis. We all come from basically a blue-collar background. We all were very aspirational, hardworking, had good values. We were from good stock, good blue-collar stock. And for the most part, everyone went to Wall Street. I was the only one that kind of took a more entrepreneurial slant on my career, but we're all kind of balance each other out in a lot of ways. And whenever I have a deep decision to make, something that I really want input from people I really value, I turn to these guys, and it's truly a blessing in my life to have them in my life. But the point about it that I'm trying to make is that, really having people like that, good solid people, shared values, really can enhance who you are, and it brings out the best in each other. We're kind of like a counterbalance to each other in a lot of ways. We're all pretty successful in various careers, and like I said, we act as a balance to each other. I almost feel, in a sense, obligated to be my best because I'm friends with them. It may sound a little weird, but it is this sort of sense of obligation almost to hold up my end of the bargain. That's you. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you don't really understand where I'm getting at, and that's why I want you to sit down and go through and figure out who those people you're spending most time with are outside of your family. And family we'll get to. Outside your family, those people outside your family, and just see if they're bringing out the best in you. And just if they're not, it may be time to cut some of those people out of your circle. And if you're really serious about making a real transformation in your life, that may be necessary. It's hard, but it may be necessary. So that's something to think about. Next one we're going to turn toward is your relationship with your children. If you have children, and children tend to be a mirror of who you are. And it can be a mirror in a great way if you're a great parent and doing great things and have great habits and great rituals. It can also be negative. And what happens is, for a negative aspect, something that you don't like about yourself, a lot of times you may impart upon your children. Maybe you have an insecurity or a neurosis, something, and your children end up picking it up. It usually, it'll take the form of what seems like a habit, but it can fester. And what ends up happening is, unfortunately, without even realizing it, these kids have taken on this neurosis that you have. I'll give you an example. Money's always been like kind of my Achilles heel in life. I've always worried about money, even when I've had more than enough. I've always tended to worry about money, and I'm very careful about really bringing up my worry for money in front of my children, because I don't want them to grow up with that same insecurity, which I did inherit from my mother, who was very insecure about money. So having said that, I mirrored my mother. I try not to have my children mirror me in that aspect. So I'm very careful about when I talk about money in front of them. So it's just something to think about. Think about what you're mirroring toward your children. It's very, very important. The next topic, the next relationship is a very complicated relationship. That's with your spouse, or partner, or significant other. That's where one of the things I tell my children, I've told them since they're very young, and when they first start getting interested in the opposite sex, I told them you could get involved with someone, and they could either bring you down or raise you up. You always want to surround yourself with people that raise you up. It's very, very important to surround yourself with people that raise you up. Maybe find yourself in a relationship where it's requiring too much effort on your part to raise this person up. You may be a martyr and feel like it's your obligation to raise them up, but understand that if you're spending all your energy trying to raise someone else up, ultimately you're dragging yourself down as well to their level. So it's just something to keep in mind, and helping people is something that I'm passionate about, but you can't save everyone, and you have to make that decision that am I making this decision? Is this person I'm with, are they raising me to another level? Are they raising me up, or are they dragging me into the mud with them? Very, very simple question, and it's probably a simple question to answer to yourself if you're going to be brutally honest. And again, we always talk about brutal honesty in part as the cornerstone from a 10-year transformation. So that's something to really think about. Are you surrounding yourself with people that are lifting you up or dragging you down? And like I said, with a spouse, significant other, that becomes even more pressing an issue. You have to kind of think about, relationships are a difficult portion of this, because so much of ourself is really, like I said, a composite of the people that you're around. There's a saying, you earn as much as your highest earning friend or lowest earning. You'll kind of gravitate toward the mean, and there's something to be said for that. And the thing that's to be said for that is that people tend to not want to look too good in front of their friends. That's just human nature. So what ends up happening, unfortunately, a lot of times is that the things you aspire to and things that are really important to you, maybe you don't go for them as much because you're afraid that you would be ostracized from your group of friends. You don't want to necessarily be that person that's going on the outside, because you're afraid they won't like you and they won't accept you into a group anymore. It's something that's very, very common, and I see it a lot, especially among younger people and other people that I work with. And I discuss, is this person the best for you? Are these people, is this group of people the best for you? Do they want the best? Do they truly want the best for you? I think it's a sad reality is that most people don't truly want the best for you. Most people don't want you to succeed truly because it makes themselves look worse. This is brutal honesty. This is a tough subject to get into, and we're going to get into it. We're going to break it down into individual components. I just want to touch with broad strokes today and really just kind of give you a heads up and get you thinking about what we're going to discuss over the next couple weeks. and it's really it'll kind of set the tone. So I want you to, one, think about your circle of friends. Think about your circle of friends, who they really are. Are they bringing out the best in you? Simple question. Number two, if you have children, I want you to think about, what are you mirroring to your children? If you don't have children, what are you mirroring to your nieces, nephews, an impressionable youngster? What are you mirroring to them? What are you showing them? Are you a role model? Are you showing them the best, the possibility of what life can be? Or are you showing them kind of not really giving it a lot of thought, or kind of painting the picture that you don't want to paint? Third one that I want you to touch upon is, what does your personal relationship look like? Your most closest relationship, what does that look like? Is that a relationship where it's nurturing and both supporting each other, both want the best, or is one of you doing more work than the other? And if that's the case, then you might need to reevaluate that relationship. So we got three assignments for next week. Like I said, I also want you to touch on, if you didn't finish the financial kind of financial preparation, please do that, because that is the cornerstone for this whole transformation. Take it from me, that's at the cornerstone. We can build on everything else, but that's at the cornerstone. So just really, that's where we are for this week. I want to mention a couple products. As I said, I don't make any money from these products yet, but I want to point them out. Usually I do the videos on Monday morning, but I do personal grooming on Fridays. I tend to be very hairy, and I'm getting older and everything. I want to make sure I look good. So I got a couple products, not making any money from. The first one's Brickell. It's an eye cream. I rub it on my eyes to make sure I don't have bags. I do that after my workout every morning, just to make sure that the skin and you feel the skin is tighter around your eyes. So it's definitely something to pick up. I had gotten it on Amazon. It's not cheap. It was about $40, but it was a need. I always check. It's a need or a want. It was a need, and I encourage you to pick it up. The next item is called Rugged and Dapper. Also got this on Amazon. This is fantastic face scrub that I use every day. I use it in particular. I have oily skin. I do it after I work out. I give my face a good scrub, and it feels clean the rest of the day. Final product I have is called Backblade. This is my guilty pleasure. I love when my skin feels nice and smooth. I don't like having a hairy back, hairy chest. Which, if all things remaining equal, I would look like a gorilla on TV on this video right now. But I do that every week, so it's a great product. I've been using it a couple of years, and it keeps my skin, clean, and I just feel better in shirts a lot of times. You see my chest is pretty smooth, I feel better, and when I have a tan, it just feels good. So until next week, I want you to have a heart of a lion. And this is JD, a 10-year transformation. And we'll see you next week. Have a great day.